Are you one of those people that feel like therapy is only for people who have mental health issues, anxiety, depression, PTSD, bipolar disorder, any type of DSM-5 mental health diagnosis? Well, you're wrong. Stay tuned to the rest of this video so you can find out 8 reasons why you should be in therapy. Stay tuned. One of the things we can go to therapy for is if something has impacted your life so much that day in and day out, all you do is think about that thing, while you're at work or you're at school. You just can't stop thinking about that thing. You probably need to go to therapy for it. Let's say, for instance, maybe you're going through a divorce, or maybe you have a child that went off to college. That's the big one that people overlook. A lot of parents go through something when their first kid goes off to college, or maybe that's their only child that goes off to college, and they find themselves alone if there's no husband in the house. And sometimes even if a husband in the house, there's that attachment there with your only child. You should probably go to therapy and just talk about it so that the therapist can help you with some coping skills to get through that. Another thing you can go to therapy for is an issue that has impacted your life that causes you to want to avoid others, or causes you so much embarrassment that you want to stay away from people or kind of hide. You can go to therapy for that because your therapist can help you with coping skills to get through that. Another reason you should go to therapy is if something has happened to you that has impacted your life so much that has decreased your quality of life. Let's say, for instance, you was a person that used to go to happy hour every day after work, or you a person that used to go out to eat all the time, or whatever it is that you used to enjoy doing. You don't do it anymore because whatever that situation is has impacted your life so much. You can go see a therapist for that. Another reason you should go to therapy is if your appetite or your sleep pattern has changed. Now, this is not if you have something medically wrong with you that's causing that, or you're on some type of medication that's causing that. But if your quality of sleep has changed and your appetite has changed because of something that's going on in your life, you might eat too much, to cope with that, or you might barely eat at all to cope, or you might sleep too much, or you might not sleep at all. That's affecting your quality of life. So you should go see a therapist and get those things off your mind, vent, to help you through whatever it is that you're going through. Because the way that you're coping with it by eating too much or not eating at all is not positive coping skills to get through something. So you should probably go see a therapist to help you through that. Another reason you should go see a therapist is if you experience some type of trauma. Now, this one is big because I feel like the whole world right now has experienced trauma. COVID, the pandemic, was traumatic for us all. It's something that we haven't seen before, unless you were in your, late 90s or early 90s and you were around for the Spanish flu. This was something new for you, and it was traumatic. In the beginning, we didn't know what was going on. We were all operating from fear. Everybody was scared. Everybody's anxiety was high. People were losing their jobs. People were dying, up in New York, 700 deaths a day in different places. Like, that's traumatic. We should all probably go see a therapist just to deal with what we went through for the pandemic and still going through. We should all probably go see and talk to somebody to help us cope through that. It was a traumatic situation for us all, being locked down in a house. And then imagine if you were alone, somebody who lived alone. You didn't have anybody once we were on lockdown to talk to do anything. That's trauma in itself. The isolation was trauma. Go see somebody. We all should probably go see somebody just for the pandemic alone. Another reason you should go see somebody is if you're grieving. And grieving doesn't necessarily mean grieving death. Even though we experienced a lot of death last year, and people lose people every day. And if it's somebody that just was a staple in your life, and maybe it's somebody that provided all your resources for you and you don't know what you're going to do, or if you're grieving a divorce, someone that you had thought you was going to spend the rest of your life with, you should go see a therapist so that they can help you find positive coping skills to deal with those things. Or even if you don't feel like you need coping skills, it could be somebody that can just listen. Somebody who can listen to you in a non-judgmental way to help you get through the loss of whatever it is that you're grieving. Another reason you can go see a therapist is if you just want to improve yourself. A lot of people don't know that therapy is it can help you in so many different ways. Let's say you're at this point in your life, you're feeling very, mediocre or whatever it is, and you got all these ideas and these plans, but you don't know how to get them started. A therapist can help you with that. We're there to help you, live your best life, and also just to help you equally be able to talk and get things off your mind that you can't particularly say to maybe a family member or a loved one without being judged. If you want to go into a therapist and say, I sleep with 4 different men every day, they should not pass any judgment on you for that. They should help you, cope with that, try to find out if it's something underlying that's causing you to have that type of sexual behavior, but there should be no judgment for it. And last but not least, you should go see a therapist if you know something is bothering you and you're using, let's say, alcohol or sex or some type of distraction as a coping mechanism to help you through that. You'll have to do that for the rest of your life unless you deal with the real issue of what's bothering you. So drinking all day and all night, or getting high all day and all night, or taking opiates or whatever it may be to mask what you're really dealing with does not help. You have to deal with the issue, and therapy can help you with that. Now, there are tons of more reasons why you can go to therapy or why you should go to therapy. I just wanted to give you a brief, 8 things to tell you that if you're experiencing any of these things, you should probably go see a therapist. Now, since the pandemic, I think mental health has somewhat been prioritized in the sense of there are companies popping up everywhere. They're popping up everywhere just to give people someone or a therapist to talk to and make it accessible. It wasn't always as accessible because it has always been pushed to the back burner to medical. And I think that they go hand in hand. If you're physically not feeling well, mentally you don't feel well either. And vice versa, if you're mentally unwell, physically, your physical could decline as well because you don't sleep, you don't eat. Those are 8 reasons why you should go see a therapist. I hope that helps. And I hope that even if something that you're going through was not listed on here, that you know now that you can go see a therapist for pretty much anything. You don't have to have a mental health disorder to go see a therapist. So like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Angel, the Psych MP. Ciao.